Hello, you're watching Everard Junction, and today I'm going to be continuing with the Wagon project. So where I left off in the last video, I'd completed my lovely rake of HAA hoppers. Extremely pleased with those, and it has spurred me on to get my arse in gear and sort out the HEA hoppers that I've had for almost 5 years. The HEA hopper does basically the same thing as the AA. It carries coal. They were built in about 1975, and what they were designed for was for the haulage of coal that was not destined to a power station. These were almost exclusively used to take coal to power stations. These were not. These went to coal yards, coal depots, and transported a lot of domestic coal during the 1970s and 80s, where a lot of homes still used it. So any coal carrying duties that weren't destined for a power station usually went in one of these, and any coal that was going to a power station went in one of those. I've got two colours. I've got the British Rail brown, which is the predominant colour that I have, and I also have 5 of the rail freight liveried examples that I bought about 2 years ago. Now I'm going to repaint some of these into this colour. During the period I'm modelling, it was common to see a sort of mismatch rake of the two liveries. However, this particular colour scheme was more common. Just over 50% or 75% of a given rake of these would be in this colour and not the brown. I'm going to be making a rake of 20. I actually have 25 of these. 2 of them have been converted into RNA wagons for use in my nuclear flask train, and the other 3 are in my Speedlink train, but they will also receive similar treatment. These are made by Bachmann, and they're quite good. I haven't got to do too much to them. The job will mostly be creating the loads and weathering and repainting. I don't need to do any hacking or replacement of parts. It's purely a cosmetic job. Before I get started, I'd just like to point out one thing that I've done to the first wagon in the rake already, and I didn't cover it in the previous video when I did these. The first wagon in the rake is subject to quite a lot of stress because it has to hold back the rake that's behind it, and it also has to deal with the loco changing direction and swinging its coupling about. Now, because of that, the first wagon on my layout, particularly because I have the helixes and gradients and stuff, the first wagon always has a tendency to get derailed. So a lot of the rakes you see on the layout, the first wagon has some weight in it. What I've now done is the same thing I have done to the first wagon in the rake of HAA hoppers, and that is to add in some of the Deluxe Materials liquid gravity, which is this stuff. I've poured some into the bottom, and on this particular wagon I've actually secured it to stop it falling out if there is a derailment and the wagon's to fall over. A bit of rocket car glue gets that set nicely, and I've added about 35 grams to the weight of the first wagon, and that just means that it will hold back the forces behind it, and it will be able to cope with the loco. So this video will be a bit shorter because you've seen in the previous video what I'm basically going to be doing. I'll be repainting, which I'll show you in a little bit more detail because these wagons are slightly different, but the weathering I'll skip over and just do it because it'll be exactly the same as the weathering I've done for those in the background. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to work out how many wagons I need to repaint. I've got 5 of these. I need to repaint at least another 5. I'll probably do a few more than that, and then I can get started with the weathering. Okay, so I've singled out some of the bauxite coloured ones to be repainted into the rail freight livery, and there's about 7 of the bauxite ones I've left over, so a little over half of the rake will be made up of the rail freight livery as per the time period. So these ones are all ready to be weathered. So I'm just painting the wheels at the moment, and then they'll go down to the shed and be weathered. Also started repainting the bauxite ones, so I've done the rail freight red, and then I'll mask off that top area and paint the rest of the wagon in the appropriate grey, and then they can be weathered also. Okay, all the wheels are painted on these ones, and I have finished weathering them, so they're ready for the finishing touches, but I've still got the others that are progressing through the repainting process. I did a fair bit of research into these and looking at the weathering and stuff to see what to do, and the ones that are painted in this colour actually fared quite well. I was pleasantly surprised to see their condition. 1988, 1989, they were quite good. By 92 they were starting to look a bit ratty, but 88 to 90, certainly the majority of the wagons in this colour were in fairly good condition. The bauxite ones though during that period were absolutely filthy, so I think I've done a good representation with the bauxite ones of making them look nice and dirty. Quite a lot of the wagons had some horizontal marks along the side here, which is from the rubber tyres at the loading facilities, where they were sort of guided through. Now I haven't bothered to replicate that at the moment because it's a quite an interesting effect and would take a bit of work to replicate. However, the varnish and everything is now dried, so I can attack these wagons again and perhaps put those marks on some of them. So for these ones now I'm going to put the real coal in and paint the buffer detail and then put them back on the layout, and then I've just got to finish the others. Okay, so all of these ones now have the coal and the buffer detail painted on, and they're all nicely weathered. Some of them may be adjusted later on, but I'm happy for now. Just brought back the repainted items from the shed, so as you can see I've masked off the area that's rail freight red. I didn't have any rail freight grey, so I've mixed up my own. It's a close enough match. The wagons will be weathered anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And then I've just used a piece of card to hide the hopper and then give the underframe a coat of black, and then once it's all weathered it should look pretty good. Okay, so masking tape is off. I have to say they've come out very nicely. Repaint doesn't go much better than that. So the next thing to do is to paint the ladders back to white. Then they'll need a complete coat of gloss varnish, and then I can apply the rail freight transfer, which goes in the top left. There's also some overhead warning flashes that will need to be added, and then they'll need to be weathered. So there's a reasonable way to go, but the repaint's done. Okay, so I've been busy working away with the transfers, getting all the wagons liveried up. One thing I'd like to point out that's really nice is this sheet from Fox Transfers represents all three sizes of the rail freight logo that was applied to these things. These wagons never got a decent repaint program, and some of the wagons never actually made it into this livery. In the early 2000s it was still possible to see some of the brown bauxite liveried wagons, although by that time they were sort of so dirty you couldn't tell. But they never really got a good repaint program, so the decals tended to vary in size. And it's really nice that that's been represented on the decal sheet, so I've done a mix of all three sizes as per British Rail. Okay, so I finished putting all of the transfers on. I've also painted the ladders white as per the prototype, and transfers have come out really nicely. They've gone on really well. Coat of gloss varnish really helps with that. So now they're ready to have a coat of matte varnish, and then some weathering, and then a final coat of matte varnish. So there we go. The HEAs are now finished. I now have two nice coal trains to run on the layout. The repainted ones have come out really nicely. There's 8 repainted ones and there's 5 that are just straight out of the box, and it's difficult to tell between the repainted ones and the factory painted ones, which was what I was aiming for. It looks much better with the repainted wagons in the rake. Still got a few shabby ones in bauxite livery, nice and grimy. There's a few of those, as per pictures I've seen of the real rakes. Added all the real coal as per the other rake. Really does make a difference with the real coal. All the wheels have been painted, given the wheels an oiling as well, just so they run a little smoother. So I'll get them running around the layout, and I'll leave you with that.